Ladies and gentlemen, the UN has come out with another report on systemic racism. And, they come out with these reports periodically. We've seen the ones on reparations and everything. So they're now saying little progress combating systemic racism against people of African descent, UN report. And we know who they're talking about. They're talking about us. So, while more people have been made aware of systemic racism and concrete steps have been taken in some countries, an acting High Commissioner for Human Rights called on the states to demonstrate greater political will to accelerate action, which they won't do. Okay, the reason why you have seen this in America for 500 years and they've been resisting or trying to psychologically make you believe things have changed when they absolutely haven't is because they don't want it to change. See, a group that wants things to change will make that change happen. A group that is just babbling about it and you never see any change, that's a group that think we should be at the bottom eternally, okay? And which is completely unrealistic. There is no group of people that have ruled forever on the planet, and these high IQ folks are not going to pull it off either. So, there have been initiatives in different countries to address racism, but for the most part, they have fallen short of the comprehensive evidence based approaches needed to dismantle the entrenched structural, institutional, and social racism that has existed for centuries and continues to inflict deep harm today. Yes, they're fully aware of this, but they don't care. They don't care about us like that. That's why it has never changed. The only thing they hate the most is us talking about it. Us talking about it is like kryptonite. Seriously, it's almost like they go into a damn near seizure. So, anyway, continuing on talking about this. All right, so Nadia Al Nashif, who represents the report to the UN Human Rights Council on Monday, she specifically pointed to key recommendations made in OHCHR agenda towards the transformative change of racial justice and equality. The report describes international, national, and local initiatives that have been taken towards ending the scourge of racism. These include an executive order from the White House on advancing effective, accountable policing and police justice practices. First of all, the police in America have never, ever been accountable for a thing. And as we move forward, they will never, ever be held accountable. They love putting pen to paper to act like they're really doing something, but they're doing absolutely nothing. They're doing nothing, y'all. So, criminal justice practices in federal law enforcement agencies and Anti Racism Data Act of British Columbia, Canada, measures to evaluate ethnic profiling by police in Sweden and census data collection to self identify people of African descent in Argentina. So, all of these places, it's just hardcore racism going on. And it just goes to show you how widespread it is. It's global. The European Commission has issued guidance on collecting and using data based on racial and ethnic origin. Formal apologies issued. I don't want no damn apology. Give me my reparations. The hell with your apology. Um, and memorialization, revisiting public spaces and research to assess link to enslavement and colonialism in several countries. The report notes that poor outcomes continue for people of African descent in many countries, notably in assessing health, inadequate food, education, social protection, and justice, while poverty, enforced disappearance, and violence continues. And it highlights continuing allegations of discriminatory treatment, unlawful deportations, excessive use of force, and deaths of African migrants and immigrants of African descent by law enforcement officials. States need to listen to people of African descent, which they absolutely will not. They think that we're not worth listening to. And I of course, think the same thing about them, but they're not going to listen to us. Okay. They're not going to listen to, 500 years have gone past. They are not going to listen. If they do want to have a conversation, they're going to flip that conversation into an argument. you know I'm surprised they're not coming around us talking about a conversation about race. Y'all remember they were on that big time a few years ago. I think they realized that we're not interested in that. It's been enough jaw jacking going on around here. We just don't need it or want it. And we know why you want to have those conversations, because you want to come around us ranting on us. We know what you're going to do. And number two, who the hell wants a conversation that results in nothing? We've had a kabillion conversations about race, and it never resulted in any positive change. Not once. Nobody's going to waste their time with that. So, ladies and gentlemen, they're saying they need to listen to us, meaningful involvement with them, and take genuine steps to act upon their concerns, which they absolutely don't do. You don't even see that in politics. They won't take up anything that we want. Every time we do want something, they got a reason to dismiss it. Oh, well, no, we can't get rid of qualified immunity. We want reparation. We can't give you reparations. You know, we want you to leave us alone about our hair. And you notice that bill didn't pass either. So anything that we do request, they got some reason to always dismiss it. So, where available, recent data still points to disproportionately high death rates faced by people of African descent at the hands of law enforcement in different countries. Families of African descent continue to report the immense challenges, barriers, and protracted processes they faced in the pursuit of truth and justice for the death of their relatives, the report says. It details several cases of police related deaths of people of African descent, namely George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Yeah, so we know these deaths have been going on all around the world. UK, there's been some in France, some in Brazil, and they're pretty heinous killings too. And they like to do this publicly. And I said this, I said this before. I'm going to say this again. I think the reason why we see such a high amount of it is because they're getting paid. These folks don't do nothing for free. They're capitalists, colonialists. Okay, these folks don't do nothing for free. Nothing. They are getting paid big money behind the scenes. That is the motivator behind all of the unarmed shootings in America. They don't do nothing for free. I want y'all to think about that. These folks don't do nada for free. Families of African descent continue to report immense challenges, barriers. Okay, I think I read that part. In detail, several cases of police related deaths, people of African descent, namely George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and I read that part, while noting some progress towards accountability in a few of these emblematic cases. Unfortunately, not a single case has yet been brought to a full conclusion, with those families still seeking truth, justice, and guarantees of non repetition, and the prosecution and sanction of all of those responsible, the report says. Well, see, that's the problem. Y'all put these reports out like every year or every so many years from the UN, because I remember the last one on reparations. I did a video on that. It never results in change. All it is just a report, words on pages that will never be put into action. That's all it is. Miss Al Nashif called the states to redouble efforts to ensure accountability and redress whatever deaths of African and people of African descent have incurred in the context of law enforcement, and take measures to confront legacies that perpetuate and sustain systemic racism. They absolutely won't. They won't. They know, you know, the UN, as well as all of these countries and their governments, they know what's going on, y'all. They don't need no report from the UN to know what's going on. But they will shuffle these papers around and act like they're doing something, and no change happened. Everything remains the same. Everybody is still treated badly, with melanin, and life will go on. These folks, they were born and raised to ignore our plight. They were told to ignore us and not pay us any mind when we say something. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. That ain't, let me tell you something. That's not going to get you out of a thing. You still enjoyed the privileges from the enslaved. And you still do to this very day. You know everything ain't equal and balanced. And don't come over here trying to act like it is. You're not fooling nobody with that crap. We're not listening to that. You can say it all you want. One thing you can't do is make us listen. So, y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. And no, I'm not really too impressed with this, because we've seen other reports from the UN and nothing ever changes. And it is very clear they don't want the change. If they can hang on to us being on the bottom longer, they're going to do that. They're going to do it. But it is going to come to an end, y'all. I know some days it feel like it won't. No. I mean, because look, what are they really doing to keep themselves at the top? Nothing. They when things get to be too much and they can't handle it, they're raised and conditioned to ignore it. Ignore it is not going to do nothing for you. In the long run, it's not. It's not going to do a thing. So, y'all, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.